Great.
All right, we're up and live.
Okay, thanks, Jamie. Good evening. It's 6:30 here, so we'll get started in respect of the time. So I'm Brian O'Hara, superintendent of our amazing Girard City Schools, and I welcome our Girard families that are able to join us this evening. As we conclude our first quarter of teaching and learning under our distance learning model of either the Google Classroom or the e-learning platform, I again want to express my gratitude for your patience and your perseverance on behalf of myself and the Girard City School System. Through our journey of initially building these platforms and then on a continuous improving for our students as the weeks went by so quickly here. Now, these digital platforms that we have built are the solid foundation that we will use as we transition into the second quarter of our hybrid learning model. Again, first and foremost being the safety and health of our students and our staff and our families, along with moving forward with the continued curriculum that we have established over the past 9 weeks. I want to take a moment to mention our panel here tonight. First, thank you to Jamie Williams, Girard High School art and digital media teacher, and helping us with this presentation through YouTube and the Zoom. We also have with us Jessica Krumpak, our special education director, Lori Brinker, who oversees our EMIS and will give us some input if we need on the routes for the busing, etc. Beth Drennan, our e-learning coordinator for K-6, will be managing any questions. Jamie, at this time, is the link there or the icon for questions to come in during this presentation?
Yep, it's up there, and I believe Beth has already posted in the chat for anybody to submit questions.
Okay, thank you. Then we move along, of course, with Dr. Debbie Gratz, our Prospect Elementary principal, Mrs. Julianne Ware, our Girard Intermediate principal, coming to us this year from the Mahoning County Educational Service Center, Jen Santangelo, our junior high principal, John Cardero, assistant principal at GHS, and Sam Caputo, GHS principal. I don't think I've missed anybody. If I did, I apologize. Okay, so moving along here, our focus for this evening is to get everybody on the same page, our families that will be participating in the hybrid learning model, which aligns to our current distance learners, meaning that our K-12 e-learners will maintain their platform until the end of the first semester, which is Friday, January 22nd. If for some reason you did not have a chance to view the rationale for the design of this learning model, that is posted on our website. But our focus tonight will be more of the what, where, and when of our hybrid learning model for the second quarter. So our goals for this evening would be to review the model and its components, our classroom technology requirements, transportation, guidance and communication, health and safety, our student meals, athletic eligibility for quarter 2 and quarter 3, some of the building processes and procedures that will be shared by building administration in the near future. We want to talk a little bit about the uniqueness of our e-learning grading guidelines because of the platform that we have there and some of the flexibility the students have in their timelines. And then we'll review any upcoming dates. As mentioned before, we will have 2 groups, a group A and a group B. Group A would be last names A through L. and they will be in-person learning on Wednesday. Group B, last names M through Z, in-person learning on Thursday. As shared before, how these are designed by the last name of the oldest child in the household. Groups are subject to adjustment to ensure social distancing. We may have had to make adjustments on those groups to make sure at each building we're able to maintain that 6-foot social distancing in the classroom. And then Jessica Crumpack has been working with the placement of our exceptional learners more on a case-by-case basis. And then we have modified, of course, the in-person day with an early release. That was common with many of the school districts that we visited prior to the design of our model. Okay, moving along here to slide 4, our start and end times, each building getting a little over 4.5 hours of instruction. The principals and the staff have collaboratively worked to make this as focused and intense as possible on more core subject areas when possible. The high school has a little different design there. But remember, we're breaking the ice here. We haven't had students in our building since March 17th of 2020. Here's a look at the calendar of what it will look like over this second quarter of teaching and learning. So starting the week of November 9th, the green represents the A group and the blue represents the B group. Take note on the Thanksgiving week, Group A will come on the 23rd and Group B will come on the 24th. You can see the vacation time built in for the different holidays over this 9-week setting. We'll move on to our technology devices, and I think Jen Santangelo, you're going to give us some support in this area.
Yes, hi everyone. As you know, technology has become invaluable to us during this time. So this slide goes over some of the guidelines for our students in the realm of technology. First, let me start by saying that our little ones, kindergarten through 2nd grade, will not need to bring any devices with them into the school building. So again, nothing is needed for our K through 2. Let's turn then our attention to our 3rd through 12th graders. Technology will be expected to be brought with them each day into school. If they have their own school-issued, Girard City Schools school-issued device, that device should come in charged each day. And then if they're using their personal device, that device too can come into our school building charged for use each day. And students will utilize our guest network to use those devices here at school. Just a few things to keep in mind. We, of course, cannot repair personal devices, but if you do have a Girard City Schools issued device, and there is an issue or problem with the technology, we've linked the service request form here, and we've asked that you fill that out in advance so that a loaner can be prepared for you in the interim of the repair to your device. So what's most important is that those devices come with our students and again come charged. We're asking that chargers do stay at home so that students don't risk leaving them behind and then not have them on their person for the remaining 4 days of education.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Santangelo. And as she mentioned, the link is here for the Chromebook service request for any repairs that the district has issued in terms of computers. And that link is also available on our website under distance learners. You'll see that link there. So historical times in many ways for us over the past 6 to 7 months. And the fact that now requiring a digital device to be in the classroom for teaching and learning is probably a common thread for many months to come, and probably a common expectation for all teaching and learning for the Girard City Schools in the future. So we do have a question up here about pickup and drop off at Prospect. Dr. Gratz, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay. And I do know that each of the buildings will be sending out additional information in the very near future tomorrow to parents. But the question relates to when is the drop off and pickup time for the kindergarten students?
They're talking about the resources that we're having in the bus tag. That's going to be on Monday, November 9th, between 8 and 3, and then 4 and 7 that evening.
Okay, I appreciate that knowledge there, but I think they're more referring to the day of the in-person learning, which is 8:45 until 1:30. What time would they drop their students off and pick them up?
They're talking about, that would be at 8:35. The door is going to open for car riders.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, again, the line will be forming because they will not get out of their car like they used to and come into the cafeteria. They will remain in their car, and they'll be coming to the main door, driving around, and we will, that's why they need that official laminated rider card that we gave everybody. And then we will retrieve their child, and they will join them in the car.
Okay, and then in terms of pickup, students would be dismissed at 1:30?
Correct.
Okay, so be there at 1:30 for the pickup?
Correct.
And I think you have mailed out your own information on that also. Is that correct? In terms of
Yes, if you did not pick up the cards at the curbside Halloween, those were being mailed home already. And then you'll get another mailing also, probably Friday or Saturday, outlining all those details.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Gratz. We have a question here. What's the earliest that we can drop off students for 7th grade?
Okay, our doors here at the junior senior high school, students can enter beginning at 7:40.
Okay, thank you. And the drop off is at the location on the building, Jen?
If they're a car rider, they will come to the front main entrance of our building off of Shannon Road.
Okay. And again, I know you have prepared slides, et cetera, to share with your families here over the next few days too. I'm sure that provides this information. Okay.
Yes.
All righty, thank you. Okay, moving on with transportation related to busing. Now, the routes will be posted on our Girard City School website here as of Saturday, November 7th. We'll have those up there. They will also be posted at the entrances of the school buildings. And any future updates on those busing routes or any busing information, we will be sending through our school messenger texting directory. So if you are not part of the school messenger, please go to our website under administration, and there's a school messenger form there to fill out so that you start to receive all of the texts that we get, that we send out through our school district, and specifically related to the transportation. So all students will sanitize their hands upon entering the bus. They must wear a mask. And for some reason, if a student does not have a mask, we will have a supply of masks. The bus driver will be able to provide one, but we encourage, please, to have a student ready to go with his own mask. So in terms of the alternate bus form, that should be filled out for K-6 students not being picked up or dropped off at the bus stop closest to their home. Lori Brinker, are you available?
I'm here.
So where is this alternate bus form? Where can it be
Well, they
acquired?
can, if they have not already filled one out with the survey, they can get one from their building. So either from Prospect Elementary or Girard Intermediate School.
Okay. Do we have that located anywhere on our website?
I do not know that, but I can work on getting something uploaded to the website
Okay.
by this weekend.
we'll get that on our main page, and we'll have the alternative bus form there if you may need that to get up. So thanks, Lori. Okay, students only ride their assigned buses. You can imagine the complexity of running 2 shifts here with Group A and Group B, and students needing to stay with the bus that they have been assigned. Okay. And as I mentioned, school messenger, please get within that directory if you're not. And any questions about the bus routes themselves early on here can be directed to Lori Brinker at this phone number and extension. Okay, we do have a question here related to Prospect. What are our expectations for drop-off? We have a car rider. He may be walked to school by a parent on some days, and also picked up at the end of the day by maybe a family member. Where would the walkers meet their guardians, etc., at the end of the day or for arrival?
The walkers, we're still working on that detail. They will be informed of that to make sure that it doesn't coincide with the traffic line of picking up the students by car. So I will make sure that they have something either by a robocall or in the screencastify on the website that I've been doing weekly.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Gratz. Okay, so we're still ironing out to make sure that we're trying to not cross populations to avoid any, cross contamination or et cetera, as much as possible. So please look for the screencastify. Dr. Gratz, that's on your website weekly, the homepage of Prospect?
Yes, it is weekly.
Okay. All right. So we'll make sure that we provide information for that. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to the health and safety, kind of an overview here. And that goes to Mrs. Julianne Ware, our GIS principal.
Hi, everyone. So looking at the health and safety in all of our buildings, and this goes across K-12, temperatures will be scanned upon the entry of the school in the morning. So when students walk in, there will be multiple means to be able to have the temperature scanned. Any temperature that is resulting in 100 degrees or above, the students will be sent home from school. So they'll be sent to a temperature clinic and then dismissed from there. Sanitizing stations are also set up throughout the entire school, inside of classrooms, in hallways, and around the building. Masks should be worn at all times during the day. The biggest thing is making sure that the masks are covering their nose and their mouths. If a student is wearing just a shield, they will be asked to wear a mask unless there's some type of medical concern that we have already have that on file. But the student should be wearing a mask in addition to a shield if they want to, but the mask must be on. Outside visitors are not allowed in the building to decrease any type of exposure. So building protocols, we'll be talking through that with our individual buildings about what that looks like, but really trying to decrease the traffic that's happening inside of our schools.
Okay, thank you, Julianne. And you're up again. Yep.
So in addition, all of the water fountains have been covered throughout the buildings to ensure that the students are not drinking out of the water fountains. They've also been turned off. So students need to bring a clear water bottle, really looking at grades 4 through 12, having the clear water bottles. It's optional for the K through 3 to bring a clear water bottle. If they have something else that they already have with some type of design on it, it'll be okay. But we really are asking for clear see-through water bottles for our 4 through 12. Lockers are also not going to be used this school year at this point in time. The students will be allowed to carry their backpacks from class to class, but instead they will not be headed to any type of lockers. We are working on ensuring that that 6 feet distance is happening everywhere. So allowing them to go to the lockers is causing the students to be too close. And we really want to maintain that 6 feet distancing, which means in the hallways, in the classrooms, and in the bathrooms. So even bathroom stalls have been closed and shut down with markers so that the students are only in every other stall. The same thing is happening in the bathrooms with the sinks, that the sinks are only being used when they're 6 feet apart. So all high touch areas are also sanitized throughout the day. The students do have shields around all of their desks, and the teachers' desks also have teacher shields. So throughout the entire buildings, it's very much of a transformation. There's a lot of markings on the floors, markings on the walls, really trying to make sure that it's very clear for our students that our first priority is keeping everybody safe and healthy to ensure that we can continue adding time and instruction in our days. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Ware. Okay, I don't see any additional questions at this time. Moving on to kind of the health and safety measures in the classroom. I'm not quite sure if Mr. Cordero is with us or.
I am.
Okay, or was it Mrs. Santangelo? I'm not sure, Mr. Cordero.
I'm good. I'm here
Okay.
tonight. We're
All
good.
right, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. So looking at the classrooms, we looked at two things. We followed CDC guidelines of 6-foot spacing. And then we also looked at the square footage of our classrooms so we could figure out how to best maximize the number of students in each class. So what you'll see here are a few examples of desks with sneeze guards, shields to keep everybody separated. Most classes will range from 9 to 11 students in each class. Desks will remain 6 feet apart at all times. And you'll see those guards. You see the arrow there where we have directional arrows in the hallways where we try to stay on one side and not intermingle with the kids. And then, of course, the circle there where it says help stop the spread, please stand here. Those are placed in the elementary by bathrooms and so forth. So if they're waiting to go to the bathroom, they're still staying socially distanced.
Thank you.
There's just some other high school, junior high classrooms. Most of the classrooms will look like this with those guards in front of them. And again, most classes are carrying 9 to 11 kids per class.
And then again here, our Girard Intermediate kind of a snapshot here, and then our Prospect Elementary typical classroom. So again, Mr. Cordero expressed thanks for your work in this area over many months here. And I'd like to express again that these guards were made in-house here. And actually the design came from Ashraf Haiti, our robotics designer. And many helping hands to the Girard City School System to put these together and get that the shield completed with the vinyl. Okay, moving on to our health and safety, the screening protocol, which is critical in limiting the spread in terms of any positive cases or first person exposures.
All right, so good evening, everyone. So again, this has been, we've very closely followed the Trumbull County screening algorithm for this. Collectively, our nurses, our administrative staff, and everybody's worked very hard to make sure that we're in complete compliance with everything that is being expected, both from the CDC and from the Trumbull County Board of Health. So these are the algorithms that we will talk about. First off, we should keep our student at home if you see on the left, if they're displaying any one of those following symptoms: a new cough, difficulty breathing, a fever of 100 and higher. As Mrs. Ware said, we will be temperature checking every kid upon their entrance into the school. But obviously, if your kid is running a fever, prior to school, it would be obviously best to send them home, or to keep them home rather. A loss of taste or smell, which again is something that is unique to COVID-19 in most cases, and then diarrhea. So any one of those following symptoms, it's probably best to keep the student at home. Or if you have two of the following symptoms on your right: a headache, nausea or vomiting, congestion, sore throat, muscle weakness, and pain. So again, that is right on the Trumbull County guidelines. It's very important both for your child's well-being and for the safety of all concerned, that if we're displaying any one of the symptoms on the left or two of the symptoms on the right, that we keep our child home. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention at this time that the primary platform for our education, even though we're still in person, is our Google Classroom and our online learning platforms. Those will still be run as if kids were learning remotely 5 days a week. And our focus when kids are in front of us is intervention and enrichment of things, of concepts, principles, and ideas that we've already taught. So if we err on the side of safety and we keep our kids at home, your child will still have the opportunity to learn everything, every concept, every principle, every idea that would otherwise be represented to them. The next piece, again, communication between us, between our school and you is critical. If you're planning to come to school now, just for complete clarification, for the kids who are option 1 students in our Google Classrooms, again, many of you have filled out the Google form at the end of last week, beginning of this week, on whether or not you intend to send your child to school in the second quarter. If you chose to keep your child full remote for the second quarter, you do not have to call every week. We know that your child, or every Wednesday, every Thursday, because we know that your child is not attending. So this is only for the parents of children who have said that they intend to send their child to school on those Wednesdays and Thursdays. But if your child is symptomatic, if your child is not feeling well, please make sure that you contact the school the same way you always would in a conventional school year. For student illness, for the death of a family member or a family emergency, something that is new to us now, anytime logging on will be an issue. A technology problem, internet outage, or anything like that, that would again technically prevent a child from accessing their online materials. Again, if you are not going to be in for vacation, if you're in quarantine, if you have a court date, a doctor's appointment, any of those typical things that you would call off for, we need to make sure that we contact the school. You need to make sure you contact the school, and then we'll notify teachers of your child's absence.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Caputo. I think I'm going to take a moment here and just again highlight that this protocol for the Trumbull County screening that we use diligently is located on our website there. And much of what Mr. Caputo shared with us is in this protocol here. And I talked about this in depth on the rationale video that's on our website. But a lot of what Mr. Caputo spoke about is in the middle of this chart here where these gray rectangles are. So these are the symptoms that he spoke about. Now, if that is a yes, and then we go through the kind of the protocol here in the deductive reasoning, then we look about close contact, okay? Now, if there's a yes on the left and a yes on the right, then we move down into this area here. And really the student needs to have some medical evaluation. Now, if that does not happen, and this is what's happening in school districts across the county and many within the region, then the student would have to stay home for 10 days. So if there's a yes on the left, a yes on the right, and we're unable to get an evaluation from a medical doctor, then the student is required to stay home for 10 days. Now, that being said, we do have the Google Classroom, as Mr. Caputo stated, which I feel are very vibrant in terms of the transition and transformation that we've made in that area, that the student can continue to learn on pace with his classmates. So just to let you know that this is kind of our Bible in terms of any exposure or positive cases. Okay, moving on then to student meals. Dr. Gratz?
Yes, on our in-person days, which is Wednesdays and Thursday, every student will be provided a breakfast. Also on those days, every student will be provided a bag lunch at dismissal. They'll be placed in the book bags of our younger students for them to take home with them at the end of the day. For our weekly meal pickups, there will be 6 breakfasts, 6 lunches, and 1/2 gallon of white milk. It's free to every Girard City student and siblings 18 years and younger. Children do not need to be present for meal pickup. And the meal pickup will take place on Thursdays from 1 to 4 at the high school gym entrance by the Big G.
And Dr. Gratz, that's for all students K-12, correct?
Yes, it is for all students, K-12.
Okay, thank you. And I do want to emphasize here that starting, next week, Thursday, the pickup is 1 to 4 for all families to pick up their additional student meals for the week. And as Dr. Gratz mentioned, the in-person days, we will provide a breakfast and a lunch to be taken home. Now, so there's an adjustment because today was the last day for 2 kind of intervals to pick up on Thursday due to the timing here of changing the clocks back, et cetera. It would only be 1 to 4 for the upcoming Thursdays. Okay, thank you, Dr. Gratz, on that. Okay, moving along to our athletics and back to Mr. Caputo.
Yes. Just a couple of things very quickly for athletics for our students grades 7 through 12. First off, on the days that we are in school, students must leave at dismissal and then return for practices and games in the evening. We apologize in advance for any inconvenience that this may cause to families. However, to make sure that we have proper supervision of our student athletes, to make sure that we can follow all the proper health and safety protocols and everything of that nature, we need to make sure that we adhere to that policy. The second piece deals with the athletic eligibility of students. Per the Ohio High School Athletic Association, for Q2 this year, similar to what it was for Q1, all students are eligible to participate in athletics for Q2. Our grades are extremely important, but because of these extenuating circumstances, the OHSAA has deemed all students eligible. As it stands right now, that is not the case for the second semester. So the grades that students receive in Q2 will determine whether or not they are able to participate in athletics in the third quarter of our 2020-2021 school year. So it's critical that we continue to work on our grades, bring our grades up, and make sure that eligibility is attained. For our option 1 students, our hybrid students, we must pass 5 classes in Q2. Now, at the high school level, if you have a block class, that counts as 2 classes. So right now, if I was in biology, English 1, 2, 3, or 4, one of our core math classes, core science classes, etc., where I have that class first and second period, that technically counts as 2 classes, 2 of the 5. All right, so in order to be eligible in Q3, we must pass 5 classes in Q2. For our option 2 Edgenuity students, they must pass 5 classes. The full credit classes that they have right now also count as 2 classes because technically they're blocked. So again, that is passing 5 classes in Q2, or for the Edgenuity students, 5 classes overall, because their grades are just semester grades and not broken down in Q1 and Q2. Right, so passing 5 classes is the minimum requirement to be eligible to participate in sports once the 3rd grading period starts.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Caputo, on summarizing that for us and laying the landscape of participation in that Q3, keeping the academics as a priority to participate in our athletics. So we have some questions here that I'd like to address. If your child is sent home for any of the reasons of those symptoms, as Mr. Caputo mentioned, can they return the next week? Would you need a doctor's note? and basically, and we'll make sure that we get this communication out. Principals, can you take a note on this? Because we have policy on common cold symptoms and, in terms of health measures there. And it's usually 24 hours, that the symptom, we don't have the symptom anymore without medication. So if it were a fever, a headache, etc. So if, the student goes through that duration and loses that symptom for 24 hours without medication, they would be welcome to come back to school. And let's make sure we take a note on that so we get a common message. I know we have some nice handouts from our medical staff on that to make sure we either get those posted or they go in the mailings or in your communications to your parents, okay? We have a question here. If my child does not come on their in-person day, but completes the Google Classroom assignment, will that absence be counted against that student? And I know we've had much discussion in this area, and staff, help me out if I am misspoken here, but that was the purpose of the filling out the Google form for attendance and transportation last week, correct? That if the student is not filled out that form, that it's expected that they would be in person?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so I'm not sure where the question is coming from, but if you did not notify the district that your student would not be participating in the in-person learning environment, excluding them for the entire quarter was the only option there, then it would be expected that they would be in person. And if they're not in person, then it would be looked upon as an absenteeism. However, they would be, granted the opportunity to complete the work and have credit. Is that correct, principals? Is that where we're at on that?
That's correct. Think of it, if the students are in school 5 days a week and, last school year, a normal school year, if a student is absent due to an illness, the student would, return the note. The student would still be marked absent. However, they have the opportunity to make up their schoolwork. And so instead of returning to the school, getting any of their makeup work, now they're able to do their makeup work while they're at home. So the absence is still there. However, they have the ability to be able to do the makeup work in the academics and keep up with the pace of the class.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Ware. Anybody else from our panel want to have any other input on that, or do we think we've pretty well summarized that? Okay, moving along then, building procedures.
Okay, so as Mr. O'Hara has already mentioned a little bit, but the buildings are going to be sending communication home tomorrow with families or to families. So please make sure that you're listening for all calls or all texts or receiving any of those mailing notifications. Dr. Gratz had talked about receiving a mailing notification from her building. So information is going to be coming home. That information is really looking now specific on building. So looking for, what kind of supplies do students need to bring, what is that arrival and dismissal procedure for each individual building, what really are those protocols that we're putting into place that are really specific. These are all of the protocols essentially that are across the board K-12. And so really start to think and to look for that. So it'll either come through via all call, an all text, and as a mailing, and it's also going to be posted on our school website. So if you go to our individual buildings, you'll see communication that will be posted on there as well.
Thank you. I think Mrs. Ware, you're going to address the e-learning here for K-12.
I am. So if any families are here listening for the e-learners for K-12, the students have chosen that from at the very beginning of the year. And those students are still going to be on the e-learning platforms until January 22nd. So that means the MindPlay, the Ascend Math, and or the Edgenuity. So really focusing on what's going to happen here at the end of the 9 weeks. For report cards, those e-learning students are not going to get a traditional report card with final grades at the end of the 9 weeks. Instead, they're going to get a progress report. the way this is looking is for the e-learners, they're working through semester type courses. So they're looking at where they should be around the semester point or the 9-week mark, but giving them a grade at this point is really difficult due to the fact that we are asynchronous. They do have the flexibility of adding in more time or adding in more areas and going back. So instead of sending home a 9 weeks mark and a grade that is really might not necessarily be reflective of where they are at this moment, they're going to get a grade at the semester end. So they will receive a progress report in place of a report card, and it will tell exactly kind of where they are at this moment, a snapshot in time, but their actual grade will come at the semester end.
Okay, thank you. Just a reminder of some upcoming dates then that we have shared here. Saturday, November 7th, the bus routes will be posted on our website and at the entrances of our buildings. Wednesday, November 11th, finally getting some students back in our buildings. So first day for Group A, and then Thursday the 12th, first day for Group B in person, and how excited and anxious we are for this. Keep in mind the week of Thanksgiving, Group A will be on Monday the 23rd, and Group B will be on Tuesday the 24th. And then we have our Thanksgiving break the 25th through the 27th. Again, if you are not receiving the all calls, and really we're going more to all text now and putting links in those texts, thanks to the leadership there of Mrs. Santangelo, keeping us on our toes. Please fill out this form. The link is here, and it's also on our website under administration, and then school messenger. Okay, so any additional questions at this time? I don't see any. I do want to share this letter here went out today, snail mail to all of our families. It summarizes everything that we have talked about here this evening in terms of the learning model, the groups, the schedule here for the calendar, start and end times, classroom technology expectations, student meals, posting of the bus routes, communication, and some of our health and safety measures. So that will be coming snail mail. I'll email it to as many of the emails that we have in the district for our parents and students, and then we'll also post it on our website. So if you want to make a copy of this and have it organized for yourself there. That being said, now again, I want to express my thanks to our families and our students for their grit and perseverance and really patience. I can't say enough about the people on this panel and other staff members across the board. There's food service, technology, custodians, bus drivers, athletics. At times it's been exhausting, to say the least. Long days, long weeks, but together we will get this done. And our goal is to diligently maintain the measures that we put in place for the safety of our students and maintain the quality of our education. To diligently make sure when those students are in our buildings that we're doing what we need to do in terms of safety, and to promptly respond when we think we have an exposure or a positive case to keep the buildings as safe as possible. What we don't have control over is the community spread. So that's where we all have to do our part, and to wearing our masks and keeping our social distancing, especially over the opportunities that will be coming up with Thanksgiving and the holidays here. So that being said, we have a question here. Do we think the kids will come back 2 days a week or more? Tentatively right now, this is our schedule for the second 9 weeks, that we can get this done right in terms of our safety, in terms of keeping the cases, because they're going to happen, and the exposures to mitigate that to the best of our ability. You know, there's a lot going on right now out there, and our goal is to continue to move forward and to, when it is safe and we are ready to go, of course, to increase the number of in-person days. And you know, tentatively, we would hope that that would happen the third quarter. And I'm just going to leave that at that situation for now. So the other question is, do we need specific type of backpack? Principals, anything specific there in terms of the backpack for students?
For GIS, just any backpack is fine. And really looking at having some of those basic supplies. Again, that will be in some of that communication that's going out tomorrow, but really just looking for pencil case, some pencils, pens, highlighters, you know, the basics in a pencil case, in a notebook, and obviously the technology device that Mrs. Santangelo had mentioned.
Yeah, okay, great point there. So, okay, from the
Prospect Elementary, for Prospect Elementary, it's just a book bag. Any book bag would be fine. And you'll get the supply list in with the mailing for each grade level. And it's very, it's been condensed, so it's just for the second grading period.
Okay, thank you. Any other input or comments from our principals here or panel? Okay. All right, again, I want to thank you for your time this evening, for taking the time to listen and ask the questions here, and that we want to get on the same page as a community here and as a school family. So until next time, we are Girard family, taking care of each other.